Okay, so I just got here to the Ford dealership. Hopefully we'll get all my problems fixed. Be right back. What's going on, guys? So I am here at Sames Ford, Corpus Christi, Texas, getting them to look at my truck. Actually, they're fixing the sunroof today, so that's the main reason the truck's here. But in terms of the corrosion around the valve stems, the truck is slightly out of its manufacturer's bumper-to-bumper warranty, even though I have the, I think it's called the premium care warranty, or the whatever the highest aftermarket warranty you can get from Ford. I have it, and they don't think that's going to cover it, but they're going to try. They're going to submit the pictures to Ford, see if Ford will cover the corrosion around the valve stems. And this is going to be interesting because, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, this is kind of a safety thing, right? If you start losing air simply because they did a poor job putting a finish on these wheels, that could lead to some major issues, especially on an F450, which does not have built-in TPMS. Now, I have the Tire Minder TPMS system on my truck, so I'll be able to know if I'm losing air. But if you don't have that system, there's really no way for you to know that you're losing air, especially if it's coming from your inner rim, which you shouldn't have a problem with on these trucks because it is a steel wheel. But on these outside aluminum wheels, there's always the risk that you could potentially lose air and not really know it in time. So let's see what they say. They're going to get back in touch with me and let me know. And if you want to know what's going on with the sunroof, so at the top of these panoramic sunroofs, you have these plastic tracks that the sunroof kind of follows in to open and close and to go through the different motions to tilt the panel up, to slide it forward, roll it back, all those different things. And when you don't use your sunroof very often, what ends up happening is the rubber seal, the weather trimming across the top there, ends up getting stuck. So the sunroof has to pull down really hard to pop that loose, and when it pops loose, it hits that plastic track so hard it breaks the bottom of it out at the end here. So imagine the plastic track runs like that, and you have this little stem that sticks out and follows that guide. Whenever you haven't used your sunroof in a long period of time and you get that top panel sticking to the back panel, it pulls itself so hard that it actually takes that stem and breaks it through that plastic track. So what they actually replace is the plastic tracks. Now, I really think Ford should switch to either a heavier duty nylon material or polyurethane material, or at least line it in some way with maybe an aluminum rail around the outside of it, something that will prevent the track from just completely breaking through. And I think reinforcing it makes sense. I don't really mind that they use plastic, but it would be nice if they used just a little bit, you know, stronger polymer, or reinforced it with some type of steel that would prevent the track from just completely breaking and potentially causing your sunroof to be stuck in the open position, because that really stinks. But they say they're going to be able to fix it today. They say that it's nothing that's very difficult. They actually see this quite often, and hopefully I'll get the truck back really soon, especially because it's raining outside. And then of course I got to come up here and look at the replacement color to my truck. So this is their new red. It has kind of an orange mixture in with it, but it is a beautiful color. This is a 2020 F350 Platinum. You know, once you get a truck with that wide front end on it, it's hard to go back to a truck without it because the front just seems so much more narrow. It is a beautiful truck, however. I am a huge fan of the new grille up front. That is absolutely a great upgrade from what my truck looks like, I think. I think it looks busier, but at the same time, I think it still looks a little bit more sophisticated, looks a little bit tougher than the grille that I have on my truck. The headlights are definitely an improvement. Their projector style is superior to what I have on my truck. When I was up in Phoenix and I had the opportunity to drive these as part of the media drive of these trucks, I can tell you the headlight output is truly amazing on these trucks. As is with both Ram and General Motors. Just headlight technology has come so far, even in the last couple of years, where you're starting to see much better output, much better road coverage, more solid patterns on the road than you'd ever seen in the past. It's just making trucks safer on the road, honestly. All these LED lights, they might be fancy, but they also make the trucks a lot more visible. Not that you need a bright red truck to be that much more visible. Pretty truck though. So, while my truck's getting worked on, I figured I'd walk out here and take a look at this F550 chassis cab truck. This is an XL package, so it's a work truck package. This is actually a 2019 model. You can tell because of the previous generation headlights that are on it. No fog lights, pretty much a base work truck package. which is kind of interesting because this probably has more features than a truck with a high trim package 15 years ago. But the point of this is, would you guys like to see a truck like this converted into some type of an overland vehicle, or where you put a truck camper on it permanently? You know, I know people have done it in the past and they look super cool when you do it. You know, a lot of folks oftentimes want to know what it would take to do a project like this, and I've considered kind of jumping into it. I think it'd be a really cool, interesting project. It wouldn't be cheap though. So this truck is about $62,000. Probably get it for a little bit less. It does have the Power Stroke in it. Modifying the rear suspension is almost a must because these things have such a high gross vehicle weight rating that the payload capacity on the back of these things is pretty dang high, and because of that, the spring setup is going to be significantly different than that of like an F450 pickup truck. If you look at the leaf springs on this unit, you'll see what I'm talking about. My truck has 4 leaf springs, 5 if you include the overload. This truck has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 leaf springs, and 3 of them are essentially spacers, but still, that is a tremendous leaf spring pack. Also, the rails on the back here are narrower than those of a pickup truck. On a pickup truck, they actually flange out a bit. The frame rails on these are open C-channel versus the boxed rails that you would see on the pickup truck. And they add frame reinforcement here. So it's essentially 2 sections of frame on top of each other. Again, this is an open C-channel frame. One of the reasons for this is because it's much easier to upfit a truck like this, to put stuff on the back, than it would be if these were enclosed boxed frames. This is how both Ram and General Motors do it on their commercial trucks. You can see the conversion here from the boxed section, which is underneath the cab all the way to the front, to the open C-channel section here, which runs to the back, and how that's all put together. It's all done with robotic welding. Very stout frame, very heavy frame. Again, this is typically the type of frame you would put some type of a vocational body on, whether it's a bucket truck, whether it's an ambulance body, whether it's a flatbed or some other type of vocational body for commercial work. Doesn't mean you couldn't convert this F550 4-wheel drive Power Stroke truck into some type of an overland truck. It is 4-wheel drive. Has the same tires that I have, the Continental HD3s. Absolutely a great tire. And this is a 2019 model, which means the $62,390 is likely pretty negotiable. You know, if I could get into this truck for like 50 grand, I know that's kind of a dream because getting 13 grand off, or 12.5 grand off of the price, isn't very realistic. So a project like this is likely to be around probably $110,000 total, all in. Maybe. Might even be a little bit more than that. I doubt it would be less. But I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyways, guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.